What if the mysteries of faith and the revelations of science are not opposed, but are instead threads of the same intricate tapestry, a story of interconnectedness and redemption that spans the heavens, the atom, and the human heart? The Christian doctrine of the Immaculate Conception teaches that Mary, through divine grace, was conceived free of original sin to prepare her for the incarnation of Christ. Meanwhile, the Buddhist principle of dependent origination, or pratitya samutpada, reveals a profound truth. Nothing exists in isolation. All phenomena arise through interdependent causes and conditions. At the same time, modern science, through quantum mechanics, speaks of a universe so deeply interconnected that observation itself shapes reality. These ideas, ancient and modern, may seem worlds apart, but what if they are pointing us toward the same divine story? It sounds impossible, doesn't it? But impossibility is often where miracles begin. Together, these perspectives invite us to explore the interplay of divine will, human cooperation, and cosmic potential. How could Mary, an ordinary human being, become the Immaculate Conception? How does her yes to divine will ripple through creation, collapsing potentiality into reality? And how does Jesus, fully human and fully divine, embody the ultimate convergence of interconnectedness, the hypostatic union? Through the lens of dependent origination, we will trace the chain of causes and conditions that culminated in the birth of Christ, exploring how divine grace, human agency, and cosmic order harmonize into the ultimate act of redemption. Along the way, we will find echoes of this chain in quantum mechanics' entangled realities and observer-dependent phenomena, uncovering a breathtaking story that reveals not only the nature of salvation, but our place within it. So let us begin where the chain begins, with the first link, ignorance, the starting point of transformation. In Buddhist philosophy, avidya, or ignorance, is the first link in the chain of dependent origination. It represents a fundamental misunderstanding of the nature of reality, our inability to perceive the interconnectedness of all things or to see through illusions. Ignorance is not mere lack of knowledge, but a pervasive state that fuels suffering and binds beings to cycles of existence. In the Christian context, this ignorance parallels humanity's state before redemption. Through original sin, humanity lost its unclouded relationship with God, creating a chasm between divine intention and human reality. Ignorance in this sense is spiritual obscurity, a state of potential without clarity. In quantum mechanics, ignorance resembles the undefined state of superposition, where particles exist in multiple possibilities simultaneously but lack definite reality until observed. This undefined state provides fertile ground for intervention. The doctrine of the Immaculate Conception emerges here. God, in infinite wisdom, chooses to act, lifting humanity from ignorance by preparing Mary to be the sinless vessel through which clarity and redemption will come. Ignorance sets the stage for formation, where divine intention begins to take shape. The second link in dependent origination, sankhara, refers to volitional formations, mental and physical actions or tendencies shaped by intention. In the Buddhist framework, sankhara represents the karmic force that propels existence, the seeds of future outcomes planted by past conditions. In the story of the Immaculate Conception, formation reflects God's volitional act, the deliberate creation of Mary as free from original sin. This divine intention is not arbitrary but purposeful, aimed at the unfolding of the Incarnation. Mary's immaculate state is the outcome of a divine formation shaped by God's will to redeem humanity. Quantum mechanics provides an intriguing parallel. Sankhara mirrors the observer's role in collapsing a system from superposition into a definitive state. Just as observation resolves quantum uncertainty into reality, God's volitional act determines Mary's purity and sets the conditions for the Incarnation. Formation is the bridge between ignorance and consciousness, a divine act that begins to clarify the path ahead. In dependent origination, vijnana, or consciousness, arises from formation. This stage represents the emergence of awareness, an active recognition of reality. In Buddhist thought, consciousness depends on name and form, mediating the interaction between immaterial and material phenomena. It is a key moment when potential becomes actualized awareness. In the theological narrative, consciousness reflects divine omniscience and intention permeating creation. God's consciousness brings coherence to the plan of redemption, actively guiding it toward fulfillment. For Mary, this stage anticipates her awareness of her role in the divine plan. Though her immaculate state is a divine gift, her growing consciousness will allow her to actively participate in God's purpose, culminating in her fiat. Quantum mechanics offers a striking resonance here as well. Vijnana resembles the observer effect, where observation not only perceives but actively shapes reality. Divine consciousness observes Mary, solidifying her unique status as the Immaculate Conception, and setting the stage for the next phases of interaction. In the framework of dependent origination, Namarupa, or name and form, represents the duality of immaterial and material elements. Name refers to the intangible aspects of existence, such as perception, intention, and consciousness, while form corresponds to physical manifestation. Together, name and form provide the structure through which consciousness interacts with the world. In the story of the Immaculate Conception, Namarupa reflects the divine union of Mary's immaculate nature and her physical being. Her purity, free from original sin, is the immaterial name that aligns her with divine will, while her human body is the form that will carry the incarnation into the world. This union of name and form prepares Mary to be both the spiritual and physical bridge between God and humanity. From the perspective of quantum mechanics, Namarupa parallels the dual nature of reality as both wave, intangible, and particle, tangible. Before observation, quantum systems exist in a superposition of potentialities, much like name existing without definite form. When observed, they collapse into a distinct reality. Mary, in her immaculate state, embodies this transition, harmonizing divine potential with human actuality and setting the stage for further interaction. With name and form established, the next link, salayatana, or the 6 sense bases, emerges. These bases, sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and mind, are the faculties through which beings interact with the world. In Buddhist thought, they represent the gateways for experience and are necessary for perception to occur. In the narrative of the Immaculate Conception, the sense bases symbolize readiness, both Mary's and humanity's. Mary, through her immaculate nature, is fully attuned to God's will. Her spiritual and physical senses are perfectly aligned with divine grace, enabling her to perceive and respond to God without the distortions of sin. This state of openness allows her to become the vessel through which the divine enters creation. In quantum terms, salayatana mirrors the configuration of a system to enable interaction. Just as entangled particles are primed to influence one another, Mary's immaculate state primes her for interaction with divine will. The 6 sense bases in this sense are the ports through which contact with the divine can occur, leading seamlessly to the next stage. The emergence of the sense bases enables phassa, or contact, the next link in the chain of dependent origination. Phassa represents the interaction between the sense bases, consciousness, and external phenomena, creating the conditions for experience. It is the moment where connections are made and influences exchanged. In the context of the Immaculate Conception, contact occurs in the profound encounter between divine grace and human freedom. This is exemplified most vividly in Mary's fiat, her yes to God's plan. Her immaculate nature, her readiness, and her free will converge in this pivotal moment of contact, allowing divine will to manifest in human history through the incarnation. From a quantum perspective, phassa resonates with the observer's act of measurement, which collapses quantum uncertainty into a definitive state. Mary's fiat acts as this moment of resolution, collapsing divine intention into a tangible reality, the conception of Jesus. This contact is not passive. It is the active meeting of two realities, divine and human, entangled in a single purpose. With contact or phassa established, vedana or feeling arises. Independent origination, feeling refers to the experiential response to contact, characterized by sensations of pleasure, pain, or neutrality. It is the moment when interaction moves beyond observation and becomes embodied experience. In the Christian narrative, Vedana mirrors the profound response to the divine human encounter embodied in Mary. Her yes to God's plan is not a detached act of will, but one deeply felt, an experience of grace, awe, and trust. Mary's immaculate nature enables her to fully feel and embrace her role in salvation history without the distortions of fear or resistance. In this moment, divine love flows through her, creating the conditions for the incarnation. From a quantum perspective, Vedana can be likened to the energetic resonance that emerges from interaction. When particles entangle or systems interact, they generate a shared state, a feeling of connection. In Mary's case, her openness to divine grace allows her to fully resonate with God's intention, marking a new depth of union between the divine and the human. Out of feeling arises tanha, or craving, the next link in the chain. In Buddhist philosophy, craving refers to the desire that arises from attachment to pleasant sensations, aversion to unpleasant ones, or the longing for neutral experiences to endure. While often a source of suffering, in this context, tanha represents the divine desire for the fulfillment of creation. In the Christian story, craving is seen not as a human shortcoming but as God's holy yearning for the redemption of humanity. This divine desire drives the story of salvation forward. Mary's immaculate state and her fiat resonate with this divine longing, creating a harmony that moves the incarnation toward completion. Craving here is not selfish, but self-giving, a desire for unity and redemption. From a quantum perspective, craving resembles the forces that drive systems toward coherence. In an entangled state, particles crave connection. They are drawn to maintain their link regardless of distance. Mary's immaculate state reflects this divine longing in human form, as her role draws humanity closer to the divine plan. Following craving is upadana, or clinging, the stage where desire intensifies into attachment. In Buddhist thought, clinging often traps beings in cycles of suffering by creating fixation. However, in the context of the Immaculate Conception and Incarnation, clinging represents a divine and redemptive attachment, a commitment to fulfilling the plan of salvation. In Mary's story, clinging is seen in her unwavering commitment to her role. Her immaculate nature does not absolve her of challenges. It equips her with the grace to persist. Mary clings to God's promise, embodying humanity's hope for redemption. Similarly, God's commitment to the Incarnation reflects an unshakable divine attachment to humanity, a clinging born not of need, but of love. In quantum terms, clinging resembles the stabilizing forces that bind systems together, ensuring coherence even under external pressures. The divine-human connection forged in Mary creates a lasting bond, an attachment that ensures the continuation of the redemptive chain. Mary's steadfastness and God's covenantal love become the anchors for what comes next. The 10th link in dependent origination is bhava, or becoming. In Buddhist thought, bhava refers to the process of existence taking shape, a transition from potentiality to actuality. It is the threshold where past causes and conditions crystallize into readiness for manifestation. In the Christian narrative, becoming is the moment when all preparations converge, and the divine intention moves toward its full realization. For Mary, her immaculate state, her fiat, and her union with divine grace culminate in the miraculous conception of Christ. The divine and human natures, long entangled in potentiality, now begin to coalesce in a single living reality. Quantum mechanics provides a powerful metaphor here. Bhava resembles the collapse of the wave function, where a system transitions from a state of superposition into a definite, observable form. Through Mary's role, divine grace actualizes as the incarnate Word, uniting heaven and earth. Becoming is the threshold of fulfillment, where the infinite touches the finite and prepares for birth. Following becoming, jati, or birth, is the next link in the chain. In dependent origination, birth refers to the manifestation of existence, when potential is brought fully into the world. It is a moment of profound transformation, where what was once abstract or unseen becomes tangible and present. In the story of the Incarnation, birth is both literal and metaphysical. It is the moment when Christ, the eternal Word, enters the physical world through Mary. Her immaculate state has paved the way for this unparalleled event, the merging of divine and human in the person of Jesus. Christ's birth is the realization of God's promise, the definitive act of love that reshapes human destiny. In quantum terms, birth mirrors the measurable outcome of an entangled system reaching coherence. What was previously a web of interconnected causes and conditions now manifests as an observable reality. In Christ's birth, divine intention achieves its full form, becoming a physical and spiritual presence in the world. The final link, Jara Marana, or aging and death, completes the chain. In Buddhist philosophy, aging and death represent the inevitable consequences of birth, marking the cycle's continuation. While often associated with suffering, this stage also holds the promise of renewal, as the cycle provides an opportunity for liberation. In the Christian narrative, aging and death take on transformative meaning in the life of Christ. The culmination of the Incarnation is not merely Christ's life, but also his passion, death, and resurrection. Through his death, the chain of sin and ignorance is broken, and the promise of new life is secured. For Mary, this stage also holds profound significance. As the Immaculate Conception, she participates fully in the mystery of salvation, even sharing in her Son's suffering at the foot of the cross. From a quantum perspective, aging and death can be likened to the collapse and renewal of systems. Just as energy transitions and transforms within a closed system, the death of Christ is not an end, but a transformation, a passage through which divine grace perpetually renews creation. In this way, Jara Marana in the Christian context is both an ending and a new beginning, completing the cycle while pointing toward eternity. At its core, the story of the Immaculate Conception and the Incarnation is a narrative of interconnectedness, a divine choreography where every element, from Mary's immaculate state to Christ's birth and sacrifice, arises in seamless interdependence. By tracing this story through the 12 stages of dependent origination and viewing it through the lens of quantum mechanics, we uncover a profound truth. The cosmos, faith, and salvation are bound together by a common principle of relational causation. The chain begins with avidya, ignorance. In both Buddhist thought and Christian theology, this is the fertile void, the state of unrealized potential. For humanity, ignorance is the clouding of divine connection caused by sin, an existential uncertainty mirrored in the quantum realm by superposition, where reality exists in possibilities rather than certainties. It is here that the divine plan begins to stir. God's volitional act, Sankara, collapses the uncertainty, planting the seeds of redemption by creating Mary in purity, free from the distortions of sin. This act is consciousness, Vijnana, an awakening of divine intent and human readiness. It mirrors the observer effect in quantum mechanics, where awareness actively shapes reality. Mary, as the Immaculate Conception, embodies this clarity, becoming the point where divine grace begins to actualize. As the chain progresses, immaterial intention becomes tangible. Namarupa, name and form, marks the fusion of divine grace, name, with Mary's humanity, form, a moment of duality resolving into unity. The emergence of the sense bases, Salayatana, prepares Mary and creation for interaction, aligning her immaculate nature with divine purpose, much like quantum systems configuring for coherence. This preparation reaches its climax in phasa, contact, the divine-human encounter exemplified by Mary's fiat. Her yes collapses divine potential into reality, not as a passive act, but as an active partnership. In this moment, divine grace and human freedom interlock, allowing the Incarnation to begin. Here, quantum entanglement offers a parallel, illustrating how systems remain inextricably linked, influencing each other across dimensions. From contact arises Vedana, feeling, the experience of union between God's will and Mary's response. This feeling, rooted in divine love, blossoms into tanha, craving, but not as selfish desire. It is instead the holy longing of God to redeem creation, mirrored in Mary's unwavering trust. This desire matures into upadana, clinging, a divine and human commitment to fulfill the salvific plan. These stages build toward bhava, becoming, where preparation transitions into actualization. Christ, conceived through divine action and Mary's consent, embodies the ultimate resolution of potential into reality. This is the incarnation God becoming human, uniting heaven and earth in a single existence. In quantum mechanics, this resembles the point where entangled systems achieve coherence, solidifying into a unified state. Finally, the chain culminates in jati, birth, and jaramarana, aging and death. The birth of Christ is the tangible manifestation of divine intention, the Word made flesh. Yet the chain does not end there. Christ's life, death, and resurrection fulfill the salvific plan, transforming the inevitable cycle of aging and death into a passageway to renewal. From a quantum perspective, aging and death reflect the transformative nature of energy, which never ceases but is continually reshaped. Christ's death is not an end but a reconfiguration, a liberation from the constraints of the cycle, offering eternal renewal through resurrection. The incarnation, then, is both the culmination and the transcendence of the chain, breaking the bonds of ignorance and offering humanity a path to liberation. The story of the Immaculate Conception and the Incarnation aligns with the principles of quantum mechanics in profound ways. Both reveal a universe not defined by separateness but by entanglement, where every action resonates through the whole. An observation, whether divine or human, shapes reality. In this narrative, Mary's immaculate state, her fiat, and Christ's incarnation are not isolated events, but interconnected moments in a cosmic tapestry. This tapestry speaks to a deeper truth. The divine story is one of relational causation. Just as particles influence each other across space and time, so too do divine grace, human agency, and cosmic order intertwine to bring about redemption. The Immaculate Conception is not merely a theological doctrine. It is a moment of quantum clarity in which the infinite enters the finite, collapsing uncertainty into the certainty of divine love. Through the lens of dependent origination and quantum mechanics, the story of the Immaculate Conception and the Incarnation becomes a profound meditation on interconnectedness. It invites us to see ourselves not as isolated beings, but as integral parts of a divine plan, entangled with God, creation, and one another. Just as Mary's fiat opened the door to salvation, our choices, too, resonate through the fabric of existence, shaping the reality we share. The chain of origination is not a closed loop but a spiral of renewal, pointing beyond itself to eternal possibilities. In Christ, ignorance gives way to clarity, potential becomes fulfillment, and death transforms into life, an eternal dance of interconnectedness that whispers the divine story to the atom, the heavens, and the human heart.